A pair of the top wideouts in the NFL, we are told, decided not to show up to voluntary, I say that with a wink and a nod, voluntary workouts that began on Monday amid contract negotiations. So if you didn't hear about this, and maybe not, maybe you were doing some other stuff, you were probably all jonesed up. You had your big board for the WNBA draft, unless that's not true. So we are told that ceedeelamb, and he plays for the Cowboys, and Justin Jefferson, he plays for the Vikings, that these two guys, a couple of big-name receivers, Jefferson better than ceedeelamb, but they both skipped the voluntary camp, at least the beginning of it. So toss-up question. Which player is more likely to be traded between now and the NFL draft? So that's the question. I've got Hitchcockian raw ingredients and laser printer. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a nap, which is what our friend the Queen needs after eating 15 steaks and the baked potatoes and the whole thing. All right, so to kick off, though, the question again, ceedeelamb, Justin Jefferson, toss-up, who is most likely to be traded. These are voluntary in air quotes, right? We make that very clear. Voluntary in air quotes. We know how this works. We've done this long enough. You've paid attention. You know how it works, too. In any line of work where your boss says it's voluntary, kind of got to be there. Kind of got to be there. You don't have to be there. Well, you don't have to be there. It's all about the optics, right? They're optional. However, you're expected to have perfect attendance, and the only way you cannot show up is if you're a star player. If you're disgruntled and you're a star player, you don't have to show up. But if you're some guy who's barely on the team, like this third-string tackle, you better be there, right? You don't have any wiggle room, so forget about that. Now, this is the standard progression, though. What we're seeing from Justin Jefferson and what we're seeing from the ceedeelamb cat from Dallas is the standard progression of NFL offseason thespian activity. We're going to call it thespian activity here because everything must be Hitchcockian, a Hitchcockian melodrama, the rule of drama. Things always have to be more messy than they need to be and all that. It just is the way it works. In terms of answering the question, getting down to the meat of the matter here, the arrow on this one is pointing towards Justin Jefferson. Now, he's not giving any discounts, at least that is his public position, neither is ceedeelamb, but who is more likely to overpay a player? Who has spent the last 30-plus years overpaying players? Ding, 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 ding. That's right, Jerry Jones. The Minnesota Vikings, on the other hand, are not a team that is known to do that. Right? They don't operate that way. And so both these guys are looking for that massive, massive payday. They're both going to get paid a ton of money. But if you look at the history, I know it's different ownership. It's changed over the years. But if you look at the Minnesota football team, and much to the dismay of Hollering James, who probably didn't even know these moves happened, but Randy Moss, disgruntled wide receiver, was traded. There was a team that used to play in Oakland. You know, Oakland used to be a big league city back in the day. There was a team called the Raiders that used to play in Oakland. And Randy Moss was traded to the Oakland Raiders. Yeah, from the Vikings. How about that? Stephon Diggs. Yeah, he used to play in Minnesota. The Minnesota Miracle. And all that. But Stephon Diggs then went out and he went to the Bills, and then that failed, and now he's moved on to Houston. But the Vikings got rid of him. So two of the last, you go back the last 25 years or so, two of the top receivers in the NFL, both played in Minnesota. Both were let go because they were unhappy in Minnesota. You got another guy unhappy. Now, as for ceedeelamb, right, it's a little more complicated because Jerry Jones loves to flex. He's like the Saudi wellness fund. He loves the sovereign wellness fund. He just loves to pay out a lot of money frivolously. And so he's got a problem. I'm a salary cap truther, so I believe the salary cap is fugazi. But that being said, there are limits to that, and the Cowboys have not one, not two, but three name-brand players who are all looking for a bank heist at the same time. Dakota Prescott, Micah Parsons, and ceedeelamb. Two of the three are going to get paid. One of them when the game of musical chairs ends, will not be getting the money from the Cowboys. So two get paid, one doesn't. If I'm the Cowboys, I don't pay Dak Prescott. He's out. I would have gotten rid of him 4 years ago. So that's the guy I get rid of. Is that the move Jerry Jones is going to make? And if Jerry Jones doesn't get rid of Dak Prescott, and there's still a lot of time left, and he keeps Micah Parsons, then CeeDee Lamb is on the outs. But at this point in the story, Justin Jefferson is more likely to be moved. Now, furthermore, we turn our attention to the NFL draft. Why? Why not? So the NFL draft coming up a little over a week away, I believe 9 days, if I remember correctly, from the NFL draft. Today being Tuesday. The NFL draft is a week from Thursday, so my math, computer-like brain, tells me that is 9 days. So a little over a week away. Now, the person we're going to talk about here is a fan favorite of Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh is a smitten coach when it comes to this guy. I was reading a story that claimed that multiple NFL scouts are in lockstep that Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy shouldn't be drafted in the first round. So how do you process that? So I agree. I don't understand the fascination with J.J. McCarthy. I don't get it. I'll never get it. He could go on and be a great player in the NFL. I don't get drafting him in the first round. It goes against everything that I was taught about the draft process or process. And here's why. The NFL draft, it was beaten into me with a shovel, all right, that the NFL draft is all about the raw ingredients. It's all about the 11 herbs and spices. That's what it's about. Above all else, you draft the biggest, strongest, and fastest players. They go in the first round. It's all about the measurables. J.J. McCarthy's just your average run-of-the-mill quarterback. There's nothing magical about J.J. McCarthy. And he's in that mold of Mac Jones. That's not a compliment. He's in the Mac Jones mold from Alabama. Others have compared him to Kenny Pickett, although that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Will Levis, those type of quarterbacks. And listen, he was good at Michigan at handing the ball off and nursing a lead. He was really good at that. And his pick, which is likely going to be in the top 6, like both these things are true, where the scouts that are saying he shouldn't be drafted in the first round are right, and the fact that he will be drafted in the top 10 seems also accurate. And this, everyone is just blatantly lying, and there's a lot of lying going on. It is lying season in the NFL. But we have seen a trend in the last decade of quarterbacks, specifically quarterbacks, being overdrafted. And the reason I know they were overdrafted, you look at the scouting reports the year before these players are drafted. Mac Jones was projected as a 5th or a 6th round pick. Patriots drafted him in the first round. What a bunch of bozos, right? Baker Mayfield was projected as I believe it was a 3rd or 4th round pick. He was drafted number 1 overall. The little fella, Alligator Arms Murray in Arizona, another guy, because of his size, there's no way you can draft that guy number 1 overall. He's a flawed quarterback. He sucks. And the Cardinals took him number 1. Baker Mayfield's had a little success, but he hasn't been that good. It's been mostly bad. Had some success in Tampa. But all of those guys, Mitch effing Trubisky was the number 2 pick by the Bears, I believe. Go on. Daniel Jones. I can spend all night if you want. I guess we're in the morning now. I can just keep going. All right, anyway, last thing here. We stopped by Minnesota. Why? Because there's a tight end there named T.J. Hockenson. You know who that is. He used to play for the Lions. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's pretty good. He used to be pretty good. So T.J. Hockenson has been rehabbing a devastating injury. And he has legs shredded with a low hit. And now he is looking to have Big Brother, the NFL, step in. He didn't go as far as to say as to outlaw the low hit, but he implied that would be kind of cool, that would be kind of neat. That was the implication that was given. So his measured statement, T.J. Hockenson, saying that he would prefer to get a concussion than get hit on the leg. So the question here, Vikings tight end T.J. Hockenson, he wants the NFL to outlaw the low hits What do you make of this? So he's not alone. I mean, this happens a lot. A couple times a year, we'll get somebody coming out on the bully pulpit and ranting and raving, saying, we need this kicked out of football. We cannot live in a football world where this happens. Right? And I do believe that eventually this is going to happen. Like, we continue, I go by the boiling frog. The NFL continues to crank up the heat little by little, and eventually we'll get to the point where just quietly the NFL will outlaw the low hit. Seems like an impossibility to have tackle football and not have the low hit, but it's inevitable it's going to happen. The NFL's slowly been moving in that direction, and eventually they're going to get a laser printer on Amazon, maybe Temu. They might go to Temu. They're going to get a laser printer, and they're going to make a silk cocoon, and they're going to protect all of the offensive star players from bodily harm in that laser printer-generated cocoon made of silk. That's what they're going to do. Now, further downgrading what has always been sold as a collision sport, and that further puts it away. And the shrinkage of the tackling zone. There is no tackling zone. It doesn't exist. It's the size of my old friend the penny from Benny versus the Penny.